Hello out there. I'm Mike Schaefer, and I'm a professor of science communication at the University of Zurich. And what I want to tell you about is a paper that we've just published in Public Understanding of Science. And the paper is concerned with crowdfunding science. So what is crowdfunding? Imagine you're a young researcher doing, let's say, marine biology. And there's this one thing that you urgently need for your project. You need to buy some research material, or go on a certain research trip, or fund a trip to a conference. So you need a smaller amount of money. And what you usually would have done is you would have gone to a scientific foundation, to some funding agency, applied for funding, and would have been successful or not. And with recent changes in the online world, a new option has arisen, and that is crowdfunding science. Crowdfunding science means you present your project on a crowdfunding platform. You describe what you want to do, you describe the money that you want to have, and then the crowd, the potential donors out there in the world, can donate money to your project, and they do so or not. And that has become more important in recent years. Crowdfunding is a valid source of funding in fields like arts or movie making or the commercial world or journalism even. And it's become more important also with regards to science. There's quite a lot of scientific projects on general interest crowdfunding platform, and there are special interest science-only crowdfunding platform that exists as well. And our question was, well, what projects are actually successful on these sites? So what and the background for the question was that there are quite loudly voiced concerns and hopes that are out there concerning crowdfunding science. The hopes usually point towards the flaws in the established funding system for science and say, well, it's very traditional, it's mainstreaming, it tends to fund conventional projects, if you like. And crowdfunding enables the public to donate money to projects. So it's probably, people say, a more democratic way of funding science. And the concerns are usually related to the quality of the projects. The concerns usually point out that, well, peer review is missing. Quality criteria are sometimes or may be missing. So what may get funded there is, as it was called in the Lancet, potentially panda bear science. So science that is funny and sexy, but not necessarily scientifically substantial. So the question that we had was, well, what projects actually do get funded? So we took close to 400 projects from 11 crowdfunding platforms that were scientific to our criteria, and we coded their content. We coded whether certain factors that could attract the public attention were included in these projects, like are the celebrities in there? Is there personal information about the researchers? Is it humorous, the presentation, or is it visualized strongly? Are there videos? Is there a feedback channel between the researcher and the potential donors, etc.? We also coded whether the quality of the project was signaled to the public. So, does the researcher have a good track record? Is this in the description? Has he won awards, prizes? Are the testimonials from others for the project or for the researcher? And we coded the funding process. How easy is it actually to donate money, and how much information do you have to give away about yourself if you want to actually donate some money to this project? And then we checked if these factors influence what we call the funding level of these projects. So do they influence the percentage of funding that a project actually gets? And then we did statistical analysis, and what we found out is quite interesting. What we found out is that, first of all, it's very important if you want to successfully apply for crowdfunding for your scientific project, that you go on a science-only platform, on a platform that only presents scientific projects. And that significantly boosts your chances for success. But once you're there, once you're on the science-only platform, scientific criteria, quality criteria, etc., don't seem to play that much of a role. What's more important is that you present your project in a funny way, that you visualize it, that there's a way of exchange between you and your potential donors. And it's very important that funding is easy and seemingly secure. So if you like, what we found out is that after you decide for going on a scientific platform, scientific criteria don't seem to matter that much for success in crowdfunding science. So essentially what we found out in this very first study touching upon this subject, that things seem to be, that it seems to be the case that we're talking about panda bear science.